Welcome to Under Oath. Today I have actor, singer, writer, and producer Shaun Cassidy. Shaun, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Hi, I can't tell you, I have tracked your career the majority of my life, and I love that you're on tour right now. That is just so cool to me, and you're performing all over the country right now.
I am, and it's something I haven't done in about 40 years. I took a little break. I've been a writer, producer in TV for much of the last 3-4 decades. My last concert when I was a kid was at the Houston Astrodome in 1980. And I said goodnight to 55,000 people, and I didn't know it'd be my last concert for 40 years, but that's just the way things landed. And it's been great because I've had a fantastic career behind the scenes. But I was working on a show called New Amsterdam. It was a medical show. And somebody asked me to write a memoir. This is a few years ago. And I sat down to write a memoir, and I was in the middle of writing scripts 8 or 10 hours a day. And I thought, I don't want to be in my room anymore. I want to actually get out and connect with people. So I wrote this one-man storytelling show, which has been my main job, storytelling. And I did it for some friends, and they said, no, dude, you got to sing some songs. They're going to want to hear songs. They're going to throw shoes at you if you don't sing to Do Run Run or Hey Deanie or whatever. So I found a way to weave the songs, old hit songs, and some new songs, and songs from my family, and, songs that supported story and story that supported songs into this new thing, something I'd never done before. And I went out not knowing if anybody would come or care, or even if I'd like it, because I hadn't done it in forever. But I did like it, and people showed up. Who knew? And now it's become it's the biggest tour I've ever done in my life. I'm doing over 60 cities in all of North America and Canada, and people are coming, and I'm having fun. And it feels like this sort of timeless, full circle endeavor.
I mean, how do you even come close to comparing it to? I mean, you were touring when you were 18 years old, and decades later, you go back on the road. I mean, does that past just seem like a story that you wrote one day, or does it go, yeah, this did happen?
It all feels like a dream a bit, but last night feels like a dream. I mean, my show's called The Road to Us because I feel like getting people into a theater, any kind of theater, a movie theater, a theater, for a show, for a shared experience, is like the last opportunity to bridge all these crazy divides that exist with people. Just give them a shared experience, right? Where the shared humanity of the audience sort of spills on each other and on the performer. And I can get it back and I can give it. That's sort of my secret purpose-driven reason for doing this. And the other reason is I haven't sung publicly in like 40 years. And I was a pretty good singer when I was a kid, but I'm actually a much better singer now because I haven't burned my voice up singing hit songs every night for 40 years. So I can go out and low expectations of my friend. I don't know that anybody expects him to be able to do anything at this point, but I can. And it's really fun to see people that really don't know what to expect who come to my show and they leave going, wow, I love the storytelling. And that happens a lot.
Now, you've had the benefit, you've been on Broadway, you've done multiple shows, you've, direct produced. That first time you got back on stage, where you're going, of course you do practices and everything else, but the first actual show, do you get a little, was there any nervousness, or were you like going, no, I got this?
No, a lot of nervousness for many different reasons. Not I spent over 1.5 years on Broadway in the mid 90s, and that's the last acting I've done. I was then full-time, mostly in an office or on a soundstage, writing and producing television. But I'd been in front of people. I had to go before networks and studios and sell shows and be presentational. And, so I'm comfortable talking to people and I'm comfortable being on a stage. What I was really uncertain of, though, was would I like doing it? Would I look ridiculous doing it? Because the danger is your only memory of this experience is you're 20 and you're wearing satin pants and you're shaking your ass in front of a bunch of kids. And that's my idea of what doing a concert is, right? So I'm not going to go out and do that again, right? But if I'm not doing that, what am I doing? And I found that, again, the storytelling gave this show a level of authenticity and a groundedness that applied to my life. Now, that's my job. So I could go out with a real feeling of like, oh, this feels natural. I can tell a story, and then I can weave a song into it in a way that may be unexpected. I mean, That's Rock and Roll, a song written by Eric Carmen. It's one of my hits. I sing it in the show, but I tell a story about Eric and why he wrote that song and why it resonated for me then and why it might resonate for the audience now. So the songs are presented in a fresh way. So the audience gets a nostalgic experience, but they also get a new experience and a surprising experience. There's also a lot of humor in the show. I mean, I have a fairly dry sense of humor, and I can hit a joke, and I don't know if people know that either. And there's a lot of emotion in the show. It's a very personal show. And again, it's not just about me, it's about them too.
Now, I am certain that at least one or two people tell you, I saw you back in 1980, 1970. What is that like seeing, knowing that they were a fan in their teens and now they're a fan in their older age and going, "Oh, they've been tracking my career for decades." I mean, how humbling is that?
It's very humbling. And I don't know that they've been tracking my career. Many of them are like, we didn't know you were alive. Where were you? What happened? Because you go behind the scenes, you're behind the scenes. I, over the years, would do interviews or pop up on TV promoting a new show. And I talk about, what was it like playing Madison Square Garden or opening the Grammy Awards or all the stuff I did when I was a kid or the Hardy Boys, whatever. But that isn't what I was leading with. And a lot of people didn't see that or didn't know about that. So, I see it in people's faces. Women come up to me in their 50s and they see me and they're like, it's like they've seen Santa Claus. It's like they become like little kids. And it's really sweet. And I feel like I honor that. I'm not cynical about that. And yet I also feel, and this was my own stupidity, because I didn't go on the road forever because I was like, again, I don't want to try and replicate the success I had as a kid. That would be silly. But the audience has grown up too. You know what I mean? They've lived lives. They've had marriages and divorces and kids and whatever. It's like, oh, we're not that dissimilar. And I talk about all that in my life. And that what I found is the more specific you are with the details of your life and the more open and honest you are, the more it lands on other people. If you speak generally, it doesn't connect the same way. Specificity is the magic. It's the secret sauce. And the other surprising thing is there's a lot of people in their 20s at my show. Why? Because the Hardy Boys has been on like Peacock for the last few years. So there's these young people who've watched the Hardy Boys in the last decade coming, I think, looking for Joe Hardy, and they find a guy who looks like his father, but it's fine. They seem to have a good time too.
I think about my daughter is training to be an actor right now. And I tell her she needs to write, she needs to go on stage, she needs to take all these opportunities. You walk away from acting, in the 90s. I mean, how does that happen? You go, I prefer writing. I prefer doing this. I mean, I know you've had options. People obviously come to you, hey, I got this part you'd be great for. I mean, how do you say no? I mean, was it just something you go, listen, I like doing this now?
Easy. Yeah, I have a better job. I mean, look, I was an actor on the Hardy Boys for 3 years, and like 2 weeks into that job, I discovered the writer's room, and I was like, oh, this is where the magic happens. And I'd been a magician. That was my job when I was a young teenager. I was doing magic shows for kids' birthday parties all over LA, and I discovered that writers were literally making stuff out of the air. Like, you can have an idea and 6 months later show up on a set. 300 people have a job because you had some weird dream that became a script that became a television show. That's like a superpower. Acting, fine. I mean, if you're a good actor, great. But you're interpreting somebody else's vision for something. And also, I was always thinking about the lighting and the directing and the story. I was thinking about stuff like a producer. And that's really what I am. I like to make things. And I like to make lots of things. And if your daughter is a daughter who wants to be an actor, I would encourage her to not call herself an actor, call herself a creative, because creative people tend to be creative in a lot of different ways. And Our business is such that you don't know what door is going to open for you. And don't say, no, I'm not an editor because I think I'm a writer, or I think I'm a director, or I think I'm a singer, or whatever. Just say yes and go in and find out what happens. You might discover that, oh, you can do that, and you can really like doing that. You have to be flexible. And by the way, I think this is a life thing. I don't even think it just applies to artists, but certainly as an artist, if you want to make a living, don't say no.
I was looking through some of your credits, and I've never seen this credit before. In Blue Bloods, it says consulting producer. Well, what does a
Yeah.
consulting producer do?
It means you're the old experienced guy that tells the younger folk how to do it. It's also it's a way of paying you less. It's something agents invented. No, I'm being a little facetious, but it's also like I've been incredibly blessed in that I've had what they call an overall deal at some studio for about 30 years. Like I've been at Universal most of the time, but I had a deal at Disney for a long time. I had a deal at Warner Brothers for a long time, where you're getting a weekly paycheck, whether you have a show on or not. They're basically paying you to stay in their stable, and anything you come up with or create, they own, right? They're betting on you like a horse, literally in their stable. But the overall deal is kind of going away now. The business is consolidated and shrunk, and it's much harder. So I am, as of May, I'm a free agent for the first time in about 30 years. Fortunately, I have deals for shows and scripts, and I've got a lot going on. But a consulting producer, which is what I began, my last show was a show called New Amsterdam. It was a medical show.
Yeah.
And I started as a consulting producer. I didn't create that show. A good friend of mine did. And he called, he said, "You want to be a writer on the show?" I'd like to, but I haven't my show of my own, but I'll help out. So I was working 3 days a week. That's a consulting producer, as opposed to full time, where I couldn't be doing my own stuff. But the pandemic happened. And also the show was shooting in LA, and I live in Santa Barbara, and I was on Zoom basically with the writer's room. But then pandemic, and everybody was on Zoom suddenly. So I said, okay, I'll work full time on your show because I can stay home and I can work on your show 6-8 hours a day. And then I can work on my own stuff on the side, which I ended up doing. That's a longer answer than you probably needed.
No. I love asking the questions that nobody else asks. So,
All right.
As a producer, you've had to, choose actors. You've had to be involved in the casting. When you have a part and you have an idea, what do you cast for? Do you go, this is exactly what I'm looking for, or am I going to allow the actor to show me something that may be something I wasn't thinking about?
It's definitely the latter, because I'll write a character in my head, alone in my room, and make it work for the script. But I have been blown away so many times in casting sessions where an actor comes in that is totally different than what I thought about for the role, and they come in and they just surprise me in an amazing way. And I go, oh, well, that's the role. And it just changes. And it's also the soup of the combination of people. Like Tommy Schlamme, who's a great director, won Emmys for West Wing, has done a couple pilots for me, helped me on a show called Invasion that was on for a while. And Tommy equates it to like putting together an orchestra where everybody is playing one instrument really, really well. And if you get the orchestra right, that's what a great cast is. It's also true of a writer's room, by the way. You want the person who's really adept at comedy, and the person who's great with the procedural stuff, if that's the kind of show you're doing, or the emotional stuff. And that was the case with New Amsterdam. The writing staff was exquisite, and everybody had one superpower.
Well, let me ask you just one last question, because I appreciate your time. You're touring, you're back on stage. It's been a long time. Now that you're going, wow, this is good. I'm enjoying this. What's the odds of you actually stepping in front of the camera?
Pretty slim, I think. I'll never say never, because I didn't ever think I'd be doing this again. I mean, I was certain I was done. And it was my own, again, stupidity, frankly, because I couldn't figure out how could I possibly do this again. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? Some guy trying to be 20 who's 60. But I found a way to do it that, again, felt authentic to me now. And by the same token, I've been asked to act in a lot of things over the years. Like I was asked to do shows in Vegas when I was 30 or 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel right for me. But who knows? I mean, I'm on the stage now. I'm performing. So maybe. What I could see myself doing is a Broadway show. I did this musical called Blood Brothers with my brother David. He ran for a year and a half on Broadway, mid-90s, last acting job. I loved it. And I was already writing. I didn't want to do it. I turned David down 2 or 3 times when he asked me to do it with him. I said, I have an office. I'm selling TV shows. Why would I don't want to be Robert Goulet. You know what I mean? It's like, I've made this very difficult transition. Why would I step back into that? But I realized there's no going back. You know, people always say, you're making a comeback. No, I'm not making a comeback. I'm going forward. I'm doing something new. I've never done the show I'm doing now. Nothing close to it. So it's new. And so if I were to act again, I guess it would be new too. I don't know. We'll see.
There are a lot of people out there who would love to see you. And I would actually love to see you in front of the camera again. So who knows?
You said, I'd love to see your show.
Yeah.
Oh, in front of the camera. Well, we'll see.
And thank you again. And, good luck with everything and have a great time on the tour.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.